The Spanish politicians have discovered the real reason behind the housing problem in Spain, the evil touristic apartments and the greedy foreign investors. It doesn't matter where you look at it, if you in Madrid, in Malaga, in all over Andalusia, País Vasco, all over the place, there is a big situation with the rental apartments mainly and with the prices of the properties. They have increased about 15% the price for a rental apartment in the last year, but some locations like Madrid, for example, goes up to 18%. In this video, we are gonna get very deeper into the problem. We will analyze the rental problem and the property prices problem, and we are gonna see it straight away. It doesn't matter where you look at it, all over the country in Spain, the prices have gone up, okay? There are certain areas which are more affected for touristic and some other areas which are interest for foreigner investors, but the reality is like all over the country, the prices have risen pretty much a lot. And to understand this and to give you a bit of a context of the actual situation, we might need to see a couple of statistics. The 76% of the homes in Spain are the owners of their own house. So it means that just the 24% of the population is the one affected by this home insecurity. And if we look into the data of the last year, 2024, the foreigners bought in Spain 70,000 properties, all right? This is a big amount of money when it comes to taxes. The reality is like they have much higher budget than local Spanish, at least here on the Costa del Sol. In average, I would say the normal budget for foreigners is around 350,000. We put an average of 10% in total, notary fees, legal fees, and so on. All the VAT they also have when they sell. This represents more than 2 billion euros per year. If you have a look like cities like Estepona, how they change and how the town hall, they reinvest in their own homes and how the cities are developing, I could say that foreigners are developing and bringing to Spain much more than they are taking from it. When it comes to the touristic apartments, the situation is even less sense. 1.5% of the total amount of properties in the country are touristic apartments, all right? How can this little percentage could represent such a big change in the price of the whole country? There are areas that don't even exist touristic apartments or Airbnbs, and the prices have risen so much. Also, the foreign investors are not interested in areas inland or locations like Seville, and normally they always buy in specific spots, like normally along the coast or in Madrid, not all of them, but normally even the residential local Spanish places have also risen prices for the rentals and for the property prices. Related to the long-term rentals, the situation is where affects more, especially the younger ones. Big cities are really, I would say, out of the reach for a lot of people. Literally have duplicated since the last 10 years. In 2015, the price that costed a whole apartment is nowadays a price of the room. A lot of young people that are willing to have their own space, they just can't afford it because of the high prices in the long-term rentals. In Madrid, for example, in the last 10 years, the price of the rental have gone from around 800 euros, the whole apartment of 2 bedrooms. So now in Madrid, you can find a room for 800 euros a month. 2008, the amount of new homes that were created were about 500,000 new homes were creating. So it was pretty easy and affordable for most of the families just to get a new home and to become owners. Actual situation right now, last year was like 130,000 new homes were created all over Spain, and the new homes were about 200,000. What means that there are much more new people moving and creating new homes out of a rental offer and stressing out a lot the rental apartments. That's the actual situation. But of course, politicians need to find the guilty in this catastrophic situation, and they started to blame the Airbnbs and the foreign investors. They could never be able to blame themselves, which are the real problem here. But let's get a little bit deeper into the real cause of this situation. We all know that the media and the politicians will never blame themselves. One of the main reasons is the relocation of people. Nowadays, the younger generation prefer to live in bigger urban areas like Malaga, Madrid, or Barcelona, where most of the jobs are. Just in the city of Malaga, nowadays, we have a population of 1.8 million people versus the 1.6 we had before the COVID times, that this represents a 15% of increase of the population. And obviously everybody who moved here will need a new home to live. And now is when we get into the key point of this debate, why we are not building enough home. What's the problem? When you get a bit deeper into the reason, or you ask the developers, myself, I am developing a house in La Cala Golf, by the way, and I wanted to get understanding a little bit more of the reason behind this, right? We have a lot of bureaucracy in Spain. That's not a secret for everybody. And honestly, it's delaying everything so much that pulling back a lot of people for jumping into this business. First of all, since 2017, the new regulation for new construction in Spain is very strict, and as well as the urban planning of the townhalls. If you go and ask for a permit, we asked for a permit for a villa in March 2024. We are almost in July and we still don't get any permit to start the construction. And as well, the way that is designed, the whole urban planning is very slow. Normally it goes for 30 years and is very specific and strict with the planning. To put you an example, there is a whole new neighborhood in Malaga City called Distrito Zeta. Okay, this new neighborhood have the capacity to create 3,500 new homes in a massive plot, but only 30% of all that land was designed for the buildings. They tell you how the structure should be, how the design should be, how the terrace should be, and the amount of space that you can dedicate for residential building, which is at the end limiting the use of the space. It's not only super slow in the way they make the decision, also when they make a decision, it's very limited the amount of homes, new homes that you can create in height, in design, in size, in a lot of ways. And when you come to try to change this urban planning or this project, it could take 3 to 5 years to change an urban planning. So this design of the urban planning is more attached to the ideology of the politicians than the real situation of the offer and the demand. The other main reasons why the long-term rentals went so high was because of the new Ley de la Vivienda, the housing law that the actual government spent 4 years researching and developing to create it. And what it makes is try to cut the price and put a limit to the price in the rental. And this is stressing even more the market. When you try to regulate prices, most of the time it doesn't go well, and this is the case. Lucky us that almost in any city that this new law of the government was applied, but the reality is like when you have a lot of people interested in the same apartment. I had one of my colleagues that put an apartment for rental and he received 100 requests in one single day. The long-term rental is very stressed, no doubt, and the one who will take it will be the one with better qualified and the one who paid the most. That's reality. So any price regulation will help. The only way to solve this will be increasing the offer, and if we don't work in that, it's not going to happen. And reaching to this point, I would like to ask you and to write me in the comments your truly honest opinion. Do you really believe that the housing problem in Spain, so drastic like we have it nowadays with prices that went double in long-term rentals, do you really believe that the problem is because of the Airbnb apartments and the foreign investors? Or there is another cause? Also, I would like you to tell me what would be the solution that you plan, because I heard from other real estate influencers and around the internet that the solution could be to remove the 10% of the taxes of the properties. Do you really believe that could help? Or in the other hand, the solution could be try to deregulate and make things easier for developers to continue creating and helping to improve the offer. That being said, thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and see you in the next video. Bye then.